Come on, Eileen, oh, you know what I mean. This stars Tomas and Mackenzie, co-stars Anne Hathaway, and several others. It's a film noir named Eileen, which comes to us from Neon Studios. If you put A24 or Neon Studios on the marquee, I am 100% there. Man, Neon Studios, they have just been doing such great things for the last couple of years. The Royal Hotel was a really, really good movie that didn't get a whole lot of attention at the box office. It's out on streaming. Check that movie out. But this is about Eileen, which was directed by William Oldroyd, who did Lady Macbeth, one of the many, many, many lengthy list of renditions of Lady Macbeth. It's a laundry list almost. Hey, maybe they're going to have Laundry Macbeth. Maybe it's going to be a detergent. Get your Macbeth clothes cleaned with Laundry Macbeth. I don't know what I'm on about. This has to do with Eileen, which was written by Luke Goebel, who did Causeway. Yeah, that had me a little bit worried right there, because even though Jennifer Lawrence and a couple of the other performances were quite good, Causeway was all right. It was all right. But that being said, it is based on a novel by Otessa Mossfegh and has Tomasa Mackenzie, who has just absolutely captivated me since being in Jojo Rabbit. She was so tremendous. Jojo Rabbit was so fucked up. It was so weird. It was the best, worst, best, and also the most disturbing of Taka Waititi. I'm sorry, that name makes me laugh, but she was great. And Last Night in Soho, which I love. I love Last Night in Soho, my favorite movie of 2021. She was also in Old, which wasn't good, but she couldn't have saved it. Nobody could have saved that movie by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, Chang Chang, Chang Chang Shabop. Remember when that guy made good movies? Oh, yeah. But Tomasa Mackenzie plays Eileen. If you couldn't guess that from a movie called Eileen, I don't know what to tell you. She is dealing with a lot of fucked up shit. She has a dad that used to be a cop, but fell in hard times, shall we say. That'll be revealed in the spoiler section what actually happened. And she is working at a prison, and she's a little bit of a... She's a strange lass, shall we say. Since it's set in 1960s Boston, we have very, very, very thick, heavy, and at times painful-sounding Boston accents. Yeah, there were a few times where I was like, stop doing these accents. It sounds like it's causing y'all physical pain to do that. But... anyway, we have Eileen, and she is kind of she's a nice girl. No, not a rich girl. We can't go full Gwen Stefani here because this is set in the 1960s. And she is a bit sexually minded, shall we say. She's a bit adventurous in her own mind. She has a lot of fantasies and everything. And working at this prison, she doesn't necessarily get along with her coworkers, but she does her job well. Since her dad... now former cop, she has that cachet where she can basically get away with certain things, or feels she can get away with certain things, and then suddenly she has a bit of a draw towards a new employee, or a new co-worker rather, Rebecca, played by Anne Hathaway, who looks incredible, absolutely incredible. She's looked incredible for years and years and years. Anne Hathaway is also a tremendous actress that deserves a lot, more recognition than she gets. She's not just looks. She's not just another pretty face. She is really, really good in a lot of roles. And she's a doctor, and she has been transferred to this prison. She wanted to get away for a certain reason, and also there's this case going on with this boy named Lee, who is in prison, and let's just say his family is torn apart. And from there, we get a film noir, sensual, sexy, but mysterious, and, a little bit spooky, little bit eerie. Not ghostly eerie, but eerie like, holy shit, there's some real life fucked up shit going on. And it ends up being a pretty well-rounded movie. In Neon Studios, was great, great pickup here. And the director, I need to check out more of his stuff, in all honesty, but he did a good job pacing this. That is one thing this movie has, it's pacing. And it has a good, dark streak of, very, very dark humor, as opposed to a light streak of very dark humor. There are some moments where I was, laughing. And then there were moments that were uncomfortable. And then there were moments where I was like, okay, that took a bit of a turn. The story is both simplistic, but also has a couple neat little layers. And proves that sometimes you can let infatuation really play with your mind and things can get really, really fucked up. And also maybe don't stalk people, but are you stalking them or are they stalking you? What is actually going on? I've had a couple stalkers. It gets a little bit weird, a little bit spooky, very, very spooky. That's all I'm really going to say right now. But Eileen is actually quite good. Tommaso McKenzie is tremendous, absolutely tremendous. She has the star quality. She could fit in back in the 60s now, and it fits for a role like this, for a role like Last Night in Soho, which I still feel Last Night in Soho was a superior movie. Granted, it cost more and had also had Anya Taylor-Joy, and any movie with her I will 100% watch. But Tommaso and Anne play off each other very, very well. And the dad, Jim, there are some who called him Jim, Shea Wiggum. He is actually pretty good as well. He doesn't get much of a chance to flex his, acting ability, but the few flashes he gets, he does pretty well. But I did like the dreamlike sequence that they gave to some of these segments, some of the scenes, and it had a nice pace to it. I have some issues. I think that there, is enough of a slow burn and enough of a build. But I also feel that the story lacks a little. The payoff makes sense, but it also just it has a great start to the third act, and then I feel it stumbles a little bit. I feel that there are a few pacing issues, a few things they could have tightened up. A few things like, okay, you shouldn't have been doing that. Why would you do that? This seemed to have not necessarily come out of nowhere, but what? It does end up turning out to be a pretty damn good movie. I don't know how well it's going to do at the box office, though, because it is getting a semi-wide release. But in December, with so many big movies coming out, yes, it's going to appeal to a more adult crowd. But it is also one of those movies where I think it's going to find a new life on streaming. I mean, when I saw The Royal Hotel, the second half of a double feature with The Exorcist Believer, check out my review of both of those. Wonder if you can guess which one I liked more than the other. Spoiler, it was The Royal Hotel. I liked that one a whole lot more because Neon Studios and pacing and two very talented lead actresses. This movie also had two talented lead actresses, and that was pretty much the strength of the movie. And it didn't necessarily keep you guessing. I will say, okay, the way lines are delivered. Anne Hathaway has a great delivery with her dialogue and everything, just has a sultry look. And Tommaso really has grown up before our eyes. The role that she is, from Jojo Rabbit to this, she has just grown so much, and I can't wait to see what else she does. She is tremendous. And 3 roles like that in just 4 years, that shows the talent that she has. So I'm going to get into spoilers. It is in theaters right now if you want to check it out. It'll be on streaming soon. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so in the beginning, there was rap, as our Lord and Savior Dr. Dre always says. So Jim is a bit of a drunk. He had something going on, basically. They imply what actually happened, but also, he's drinking a lot, and Eileen uses some of her money that she gets from working at the prison to basically take care of this, take care of her drunk dad, who has lost the mother. The sister is living far away. Mary doesn't want to talk. The mother died, by the way, just so you know. And also the car that Eileen drives is so bad she has to have the windows down because, it fills with smoke and stuff like that. It's like, somebody is trying to garage, pipe themselves, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's like the engine's totally backfiring in the worst possible way. Cool retro car, I do want to say. And when Rebecca arrives, it becomes obvious that Rebecca likes Eileen. Eileen likes Rebecca. Eileen really likes Rebecca. I mean, take a look at both of them. How could you not? How could one not like the other, or they not like each other? And the overriding thing is this boy Lee that stabbed his cop dad, and now the mother is all pissed off at the son. And Eileen works at this prison. She, brings the mother in, and Rebecca is working as a doctor. And she is talking to Lee, and then the mother arrives. The mother's getting all upset. And then we don't hear what Rebecca's saying to this boy Lee, by the way. But she decides to take him into her office and basically talk to him, figure out why he did what he did. We find out why a little bit later. Also, during all this, Eileen takes Rebecca's coat and is sniffing it. There's a part in the beginning where she's watching two people make out on Lover's Lane and is getting excited. That's put snow down her crotch to stop herself from getting too excited and getting off. Bit weird that. It's also in 60s Massachusetts, so there's snow, and then it turns to rain, and it turns to whatever. Apparently, the weather is very fucked up in Massachusetts. I've only ever been there during the spring. I went from 48 and rain here to 85 and humid and gorgeous college girls all over the place. Nevertheless, enough about my trip to Massachusetts, Boston, and Connecticut specifically, which is not in Massachusetts, so let's just move on from the geography lesson. Eileen becomes more and more obsessed with Rebecca. Rebecca senses this. Rebecca takes her out and has her dancing with her at a bar. Now, mind you, all this is happening while, she's talking to Lee, doing all this stuff. And then the next day, there's this funny scene where actually, Eileen's throwing up a whole lot because she drank way too much. And just before that, before Rebecca decides to drive home after having way too much to drink, somehow manages to get home in the snow. Not good idea, drink and drive. Don't do it. Don't ever do it. It's really stupid. It's really bad. It's really dangerous. Rebecca kisses Eileen. All right. But also, it's a way to draw her in more because all this kind of builds to where, Eileen kind of gets in a fight with her dad. Her dad's very, very insulting. Very, very insulting to her. And I'm not saying Eileen is exactly a great person. We find out a little bit more about her as time goes on, how far she is willing to go for somebody she cares about and somebody she is drawn into liking. But also, the dad is a shit person. I mean, he's a drunk, he's a shit person. I mean, yeah, he's no longer a cop, that kind of stuff, but he's treating his only daughter like shit. Whether she's the best person or not, you really shouldn't do that. So after having that dance, having that nice dance, that was nice to watch them dance that close. That really was. I'm going to move on from this because I sound really, really weird saying that. But they both have that vintage look. They pull off the vintage look well. And then again, Thomas and Mackenzie pulls off that look great. Or Thomas and Mackenzie. Thomas and Mackenzie, I think is how you say her name. I think I might have said it wrong in the Last Night in Soho review. Nevertheless, Rebecca eventually invites her to her house. She's, they're drinking and everything. They're having all this stuff. And then she says, I need to confide something in you and stuff and everything. After saying, I think we both, want the same thing. We both have some of the same interests. I need to tell you, this isn't my house. This is the Polk house, and I have Mrs. Polk tied in the basement. Oh, okay. And basically the reason is because she found out from Lee what happened. Bottom line is Lee basically was abused by his cop dad from an early age and that kind of stuff, and the mother never stopped it. So now the mother's tied up because the mother and Rebecca got in a fight, and now she's tied up on this pipe in the basement like we're in possession or something. I don't think possession ever had a basement with a pipe, but let's just move on. They basically, try to get a confession out of her. Now, a little bit earlier, Eileen had gotten possession of her dad's gun and was going to use that. And there's this great scene, this great shot where she had this gun and she was pointing, do you know how to use that? And pointed right at Rebecca. It was a great shot, well framed, great stuff. And what ended up happening is they eventually get the confession out of her, all this stuff, and the mother's like, I know who your dad is and everything, and all this. Well, he would touch the son, he would do all this stuff, but then he would, he would come back to bed, and he would be all affectionate and everything. It's like it gave him a charge, and so I just thought it was okay because I wanted to be loved, and the woman playing the mother played perfectly by it. Perfectly. She did great. And then, meanwhile, Eileen's got the gun pointed. And Eileen basically ends up shooting the woman in the shoulder. But then she ends up bleeding out, or she's going to bleed out unless they can find a way to maybe get her to the hospital, except she'll talk. So they take a bunch of pills and shove it down her throat, and then she falls asleep or, goes into a catatonic state. Who knows? Then Eileen says, it's going to be okay. I'll take her to my dad's house and we'll make it look like a suicide. Really? No, really, that's what it said. And I'll meet you, I'll meet you there. Well, Rebecca basically takes off. So Eileen is left holding basically a live grenade, so to speak. She ends up basically telling her dad that she's going to hit the road. She takes all the money that she basically has saved from her work and takes off. I guess you can just do that. No 2-week notice, no nothing. No Hugh Grant, no Sandra Bullock, no fooling around. And leaves the car on near this ditch. And then near this water, it's like river or creek or something, with the smoke on, and the woman seemingly suffocates to death. We never see her. We never see her actually do that. And then Eileen hitchhikes and catches a truck going anywhere, seemingly in New York, to possibly find Rebecca and kill her. Because Eileen is fucked up, Rebecca is fucked up and everything, and yeah, that's what happened. Rebecca wanted an answer, or wanted a confession so goddamn badly, and Eileen was nuts, and everybody was nuts, and there were really no good people in this movie. Eileen gets an A-. There are some issues I have, but for overall atmosphere, tremendous performances. And in fact, these two leading ladies are not only talented, but look great, and have that beautiful star quality. And I mean, they just exude star across the screen. A-. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.